We're talking about a late bloomer. Didn't pick up a basketball till the 8th grade. Modeled his game around Manu, Devin Booker, Tyler Hero, and CJ Miles.
This pick right here definitely helps the Golden State Warriors.
He didn't pick up a basketball until the 8th grade, yet somehow he managed to be the best player on a D1 college team just 6 years later. Not just that, he was the best in the conference, and in a few short weeks, he'll be suited up to represent the blue and gold. Hey, what's happening, everyone? This is Swish. The Golden State Warriors have drafted Mike Dunleavy Brandin Podziemski, selected with the 19th overall pick and was several spots higher on the Warriors draft board. So this was definitely a win for the franchise, I think. I'm not sure whether he was drafted because of how good he was or because of how much he reminded Mike of himself. That said, there's a whole lot to discuss. Firstly, it's crazy that a kid can pick up a basketball and in just 7 years get drafted as a top 20 pick. I don't know if you guys realize how insane this is. Either Podziemski's a superstar in the making, or Mike Dunleavy is just reliving his dream. For clarity's sake, most players have already developed fairly good handling and shooting skills at the point where Podziemski started, so they've already developed a decent advantage in hand-eye coordination. Granted, not many of them end up making the league, but that's another story for another day. Guards need as much time and practice as they can get to be functional ball handlers and shooters at the next level. Clearly, or at least in Mike's eyes, Podziemski's been putting in the work, which is one of the most important skills you will need for longevity in the league. After averaging 35 points and 10 rebounds, 6 assists and 4 steals in his senior year of high school, Podziemski received a number of offers before deciding to go play for the Illinois Fighting Illini. This would prove to be a huge mistake as Podziemski found himself in the transfer portal after just his freshman year. Once there, he transferred to Santa Clara where he played for the Broncos and put together a ridiculous sophomore performance. All that is to say, the 6'5", 200-pound Podziemski, despite all we've seen, has a lot of growth potential based on this initial report. But why did no one ever see this coming? What happened to Podziemski at Illini, and why did the Warriors draft yet another guard when one of the biggest problems thus far has been a size deficiency and they had just traded for CP3? Let's unpackage the pod and see what he's really about. The Warriors ended last season on a sour note, but whenever that happens, it usually means that big changes are on the horizon. The previous video covered the Jordan Poole for Chris Paul trade, and the next in sequence is the Warriors' first round pick. So Podziemski is a sophomore out of Santa Clara, but he didn't start there. After choosing to play for the Illinois Fighting Illini out of high school, things took a turn for the worse. Considering how well he played and the fact that he turned down schools such as Kentucky, Miami, Vanderbilt, and Wake Forest, it's not out of the way to expect that he'd be playing big minutes and in a starting role at Illinois. These dreams would crash and burn as he barely managed to average 4 minutes and 1.4 points per game off the bench. After playing in only 16 games, Podziemski would enter the transfer portal and head to Santa Clara, where he would immediately receive a starting role. The result was a 20-point, 9-rebound, 4-assist average in 36 minutes while averaging 48% from the field and 44% from 3 over the course of 32 games. These are solid numbers, however they don't tell the whole story. Podziemski has admitted he's not a great defender, but seems sold on the idea that playing next to two of the best defenders in the league, in Draymond and Gary Payton II, he'd be able to improve this aspect of his game. When asked what the most overlooked part of his game was, he quickly mentions that his game IQ was underappreciated. Based on watching film of Podziemski's game, I can concur that his game IQ looks solid. So we have at this point at least some basic understanding of how he plays, but let's go a bit further. While watching film, I noticed a few things. The fact he's a lefty is a given, and while he can dribble with his right, he's very reluctant to use it to finish. He mostly corrects back to his left to finish, even when his offhand is wide open and his left is easily contested. Also, despite the high 51% finish inside the arc, I'm not quite sold on his ability to finish around the rim. While he shows some level of footwork, he doesn't quite have the ability to get you a bucket in the post or do much when it comes to scoring inside of 15 feet. He'll get to the basket if he's unhindered, but defenders in the paint will give him a lot of trouble. Outside of that, however, he's got a beautiful shot that he shoots with confidence and is very smooth, something of a Luke Cornett or a Mike Dunleavy Jr. If the shots are too deep, however, he'll struggle as his range seems to be somewhat limited. That said, he's good at finding spots and finding the open man. His passes are on point and he's got scary vision. He'll make the pass up ahead on a break, or he'll set up his man in a pick and roll with ease. If Kerr does decide to give him minutes, there is the potential that he could be Kuminga's new pick and roll partner, although the addition of CP3 means that his time on the floor will likely be limited. He is, for all intents and purposes, a 6'5" point guard that can play the two. Expect Kerr to utilize him as such next to Chris Paul in place of Moody for limited stints. Considering Moody didn't get that many minutes to begin with, it will be interesting to see how this dynamic plays out. Last season, DiVincenzo was able to get a lot of minutes on the second unit behind Curry, but he was only on a one-year contract. That means Dante is now a free agent and the Warriors haven't decided to re-sign him just yet, which they might decide not to sign him at all. His lackluster play during the playoffs has definitely made the franchise think twice, especially with the contract amount for which he was signed. My thoughts are that the Warriors will wait to see if Dante would be willing to sign a minimum contract to return next year. Dunleavy Jr. said it himself.
All we're going to be able to have is minimums, so we got to work with that. But
yeah, it's safe to say Dante is going to go shopping. With the condensed roster, this leaves a few spots open for those vets which I mentioned in the Chris Paul trade video. The Warriors, while chasing a championship, could fall into the Laker trap of having too many aged players on the team despite now having 4 young players: Moody, Kuminga, and now Podziemski and Jackson Davis. This effectively ends the 2 timelines and puts the Warriors in a precarious position. We could see any of or all 4 of these young guys traded this summer as the Warriors gear up for what could be the last championship run for the trio of Steph, Klay, and Dre. I'm expecting a few more changes to the roster as the summer progresses, but if they do hold on to Podziemski, he'll slot in after or alongside Chris Paul, but likely won't see many minutes on the floor. While it would be great to see some development of this year's first-round pick, don't hold out hope that we'll see much of that. Either Podziemski turns into a Rookie of the Year candidate that can defend at a high level, something that he is not, or he'll have trouble getting into Steve Kerr's rotation, something he said is a goal of his for this year. As we've gotten accustomed to, however, even lottery picks like Kuminga and Moody struggle to get into Kerr's rotation. This year, and maybe even next, won't be utilized for any development. The team is going all in to try to win a championship with the guys who started the dynasty, and as you all can expect, it will likely end with them as well. The team is likely looking to showcase Podziemski and see what value they can get from him as they look to acquire a more prominent veteran presence from teams looking to rebuild and part ways with middle-of-the-pack vets that can contribute to a championship team. It's funny that the Warriors seem to put such an uber focus on guards when they have a glaring need at center.
I think it's obvious that we need to add some size. So some size and skill, specifically shooting, I think would go a long way and complement our front court.
With Looney as the sole rim protector, the Warriors are in dire need. With that said, they did pick up a 6'9" Trace Jackson Davis with a purchase of the 57th pick. We'll take a look at that next video and see what role we might see him in once he puts on a Warriors jersey. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of my latest uploads. And thanks for watching. Till next time, swish.